Welcome back. We're now joined by Dan Nielsen, the new head coach of the women's team at Utah Valley. First of all, congratulations on the job.
Thank you very much. It's exciting. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I mean, first time in head coaching. You were at UVU a couple years ago, too.
Yes.
So is it more bittersweet now that you're calling the shots?
You know, I'm excited to be back. It was always a place that I had interest in coming back to. It's an exciting, growing university, and was a place that if the job ever opened, I was interested, and I'm lucky to have gotten the opportunity.
You were an associate head coach at BYU previously. Yeah. Are there any skills you're hoping to carry over into this new gig?
Yeah, you know, and part of it is just credit to my former boss at BYU, Jeff Judkins. He gave me a lot of responsibility and was able to learn a lot from him throughout the years, and gave me a lot of responsibility that way with the team. And obviously there will be a learning curve being a first-time head coach, but I'm hopeful that my experience in women's basketball over the last decade plus will transition, and my familiarity with UVU and knowing some of the positives and negatives and being able to navigate those.
And you guys will go back to play BYU in December.
We are. We've had a lot of friends over there and former players there have been texting about that game going back, and so we're excited to go play them.
Bittersweet or just plain excitement?
More just excitement. You know, basketball is a really cool thing. Obviously the sport is fun, but the relationships you build with the people you work with and the players, and so I'm excited to see them. A lot of our players know their players, and so it'll be a fun game, and hopefully we can make them have a bad night. So.
And they say change is hard, but changing into a new system is even harder. Do you feel like the girls have kind of bought into this new system?
Yeah, honestly, I've been surprised in a positive way just how quickly everybody has been excited about from the X's and O's side of things. We've made a lot of changes, but also getting used to people's personalities, and with me laughing at bad dad jokes, those kind of things, you know.
Can you hit us with one real quick?
You know, you got to set me up. It's
Okay.
It's one of those things. If my kids were here, they'd be furious because they're like, "Dad, you're not funny." So, but you know, they deal with it.
And what kind of system can we expect out of this year?
So I'm really big offensively. We run a lot of motion, and so it takes a while to learn. It's a lot of learning to read the game, to react to your defense, and we run some quick hitters, but we like to let the players play. And teach them the principles ahead of time. So we get to the game, it's kind of just, hey, do what we've worked on. Defensively, it'll be a big change for our team because the last 2 years they've run mostly zone defense, and we're primarily a man-to-man team. And we spend every day working on half-court defense, full-court defense, and different ways to guard that. So that's been a bit of an adjustment, but it's been exciting to see. The girls are excited. They come in and say they want to watch film and see, you know, how they're doing in their rotations and stuff. So I'm excited.
As a coach, that has to make you really happy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm like, I can't tell if they're sucking up for playing time or, you know, if they're really buying. We'll find out soon. But it's been great with me and my staff. The girls have been awesome. We've had them over to the house and interacted with my family, and it feels like we've known each other for a long time already.
On your staff list, you have the mental health specialist, which you guys are one of the only universities to do that.
Right.
How big is that for you?
Oh, it's huge. So Kevin Woods, funny story. He's our mental health expert. I should call him Doc. That's his real thing. But Kevin Woods played at UVU when I was an assistant there before on the men's team, and so I knew him in that role, and he was a great player. But he's just a huge help anytime we have issues come up as coaches that we feel like we need a little more help with. We can call him day or night. And then our girls also have that available to them. And so it's just an extra layer of help. You know, as coaches, our job is to help these women progress and become productive members of society, whether it's in basketball or their job. But mental health these days, we know, is a huge thing, and having him available is such a tool for us. We're grateful to have him.
Do you feel like you have a lot of ties back to UVU now?
Oh yeah. It's, you know, coming on this trip is easy. Like the men's SID, Jason Erickson, is here, and I knew him when he was at the WAC before because he's friends with our women's SID, Clint Berge, and Jared Sumption, our new AD. He worked there before, and a lot of the same coaches are there. So it's been fun, kind of getting to know everybody again.
It's like a family reunion.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. All right, Coach. I will send you over to the media.
Hello, Dan.
How's it going, Kyle?
So the first thing I want to know is, what did you say to get Josie Williams to get out of the transfer portal to return to UVU, because she was pretty much gone before they hired you?
Yeah, and that was an interesting thing. I've actually talked to Josie about that. We were at the Final Four when I saw her name went in the portal, which I thought was interesting, and when I was still at BYU. But when I got there, you know, my first call after my press conference was, or my first discussion was with Josie, talking to her and her parents about our vision for what we saw for the program, my experience in working with post players and the success that I've had both at UVU back in the day with Sammy Jensen, and then at BYU with multiple players that ended up playing professionally. And I think the thing that I can't take the credit, the thing that sold her is my staff. All three of my staff played members of my staff played post for me at one point, either the 4 or the 5 position. And Morgan Bailey, for instance, she played professionally, was a MVP of our league, and really a similar player to Josie. And I think that level of comfort that she was going to be coached and utilized as a true big, I think was exciting to her. And so we're extremely lucky to have her back. She's going to be a huge piece of our team this year.
If my numbers are right, you return all 5 starters from last year, which is not many first-year coaches have it covered that
Right.
full. How does that help you get off to the right start?
Well, it's huge. We come in and it complicates things in the future because we look at it and we have 3 seniors that'll graduate, and so we have to really focus on recruiting with next year. But for this year, it's been awesome because in recruiting, the easiest way to recruit people is to show success. And so we have a lot of talent with Jordan Holland coming back, Alexis Cortez. Even Kiana De Los Santos is one of our seniors who hasn't played a lot. She brings a lot of leadership, and I've been impressed with her. And then players that haven't played much. Neha Sohail from Texas, 6'2", can shoot the ball. Josie Williams coming back. We have a ton of people, Eve Brazlis, who started last year, that are really talented. And I think we have a chance to be really pretty successful this year.
Coach, you just mentioned Jordan Holland, who was the first team preseason All-WAC pick by both the coaches and the media. What are your thoughts on Jordan, and how can she help your team this season?
Jordan's a dynamic player. She can get it done at the offensive and defensive end, and really kind of is a game changer. Anytime as a coach, it's good to have good players, but even better when they can make a play themselves. Good players make coaches look good. And she has that ability along her and Alexis Cortez, I think both. And we're excited to see what she can do defensively now that we're playing more man. It's been encouraging to see her skills there and her one-on-one defense and grasping our team concepts. For us to be successful this year, we need her to play up to her ability, and I think she will.
The Wolverines were picked middle of the pack this year. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
It's always hard with the media polls. Right now, in practice, everybody thinks we look, you look great and you're going to win a championship and stuff. But polls are always hard. I think last year, if I recall, even in the WAC, Cal Baptist was picked 8th and they finished 2nd, and the 3rd and 4th place teams in the early season polls finished 7th and 8th or something like that. You never know what's going to happen in a season. Obviously, as the coach, I'm nothing but positive. I really think our team can be very competitive in the WAC, but you just never know until you get there and you get matchups and all that. There's some really good coaches in the WAC, and I know it's going to be a difficult league. So I guess that's a non-answer to say we'll find out.
So you coached with Coach Judkins at BYU, who's been there for a long time. Now you replace Kathy Nixon, who was at UVU forever, still is as an associate AD, but
Right.
who is the coach. How do you feel stepping into those kind of shoes, knowing how long both your former coach and now the coach you're replacing have been there?
Yeah, it's a positive and a negative in that there's an established culture, there's an established there's a sense of familiarity, and so anytime you step in, your personality is going to be different than the person before you, and so helping people to adjust to that change and understand that that's okay can be hard. But on the flip side, both of them, both my former boss and I worked for Kathy before, were there for a long time, and so I was able to learn a lot from them. That's a combined, I think, probably 45 years of coaching experience between the two of them as a head coach. And so I've been lucky enough to, I've learned a lot from the two of them, and feel prepared to be in this position. I'm a person that doesn't do things on a whim, and I felt really prepared for this job because of that, and so I'm excited about it.
So I wasn't at the press conference when it happened. What were your thoughts when the doTERRA announcement came down that Utah Valley was getting $17.7 million, and a majority of it's going towards athletics? What was your thoughts as a new coach?
Well, first of all, big thanks to doTERRA, because that showing that kind of faith in our university and what we represent in the Utah Valley, Utah community, both athletically and academically, is huge. People don't realize we're the biggest school in Utah. We're always growing. I feel like we're on the cutting edge with a possibility to continue to become a bigger and bigger, more powerful school, both athletically and academically. And for people to see that potential and buy into it is huge, because I took this job with the idea to grow it into what it has the capability of being. And that's a consistent postseason women's basketball team. And to do that, the reality in college sports is you have to have people willing to invest in you. And for doTERRA to do that, that's a major step for not only my team, but our athletic department.
What's been the biggest surprise in your first few months as a head coach?
Not having to worry about late night phone calls from my boss. That's been a change. Coach Judkins and I had a lot of talks later at night about things. I think it's just the consistency of it. That whenever there's an issue, whenever there's a problem, it's not going through you and passing it along to the person in charge. You're the one making that decision, which I'm fine with. I'm sure sometimes my players might not be, but they'll learn to love it. But that's probably the biggest thing, is just having to always make those decisions, even on small things that seem inconsequential, where to eat, stuff like that with the team, where I really don't care. But yeah, that's small things like that, I guess I would say.
Will you be making any calls to any of your coaches late night then?
I try not to. Okay, so I have to say. So one of my assistants, I coached her, worked with her forever, Ashley Garfield. She is like, she gets up early to work out and she goes to bed early. And so I do occasionally text her like at 11:30 because I'm more of a night owl, just to bother her, knowing she has turned her phone off. But just so when she gets up in the morning, she's like, really? Like, you had to text me then? But other than that, unless it's a joke, no, I try and respect their space later at night. So.
Gotcha. Alrighty, Coach. Well, we wish you the best of luck in year one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sitting down with us.
I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
And next up, we will have the men's coach from Utah Valley coming up. Stay tuned.